Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today for Thursday, April 10th. It's Alissa Coram here, and we saw the major indexes giving back a big chunk of yesterday's historic gains, but we'll put things into perspective for everyone today as this rally attempt is still in the early stages and we're trying to get a turn to the upside. And joining me now to discuss is my colleague, Ken Shreve. Ken, it's great to see you today. Fill us in on what we're going to be chatting about.
Well, we thought this better than expected reading on consumer inflation before the open might put the market in a bit of a good mood. And just for a millisecond, the market might have rallied a little bit in pre-market, but yeah, it just didn't matter that much. But so we'll talk about that. And then another gold stocks, utility stocks outperformed again today. Newmont Mining, NEM. Also want to revisit Ollie's bargain outlook. Ollie's Bargain Outlet, which has started to rally again in some volume. And finally, we heard from TSM earlier today. March sales very strong, but the stock just didn't react.
Yeah, a good lesson there. Well, we'll get to those stocks, but first, let's take a closer look at the major indexes today. The Nasdaq down 4.3%, but closing well off the lows. The S&P 500 down 3.5%. The Dow off 2.5% in today's session, and then we also had the Russell 2000 down about 4.5% today. And it seems like, if you put this into perspective with yesterday's action, an inside day here and off the lows. So we just had a massive move on Wednesday. And I think that cautious optimism perhaps is the tone, but definitely an emphasis on the caution there because we haven't gotten a follow up of that strength that we saw on Wednesday just yet.
Yeah, so fourth day of a rally attempt for the Nasdaq Composite here. For a down 4.3% session, really didn't look too bad in light of that extraordinary gain by the Nasdaq yesterday. It was the biggest point gain in the Nasdaq's history. The percentage gain of 12.2% was the biggest since early January 2001. So quite a monumental day yesterday. I know that the Bulls were hoping for some follow through today. Didn't get it. I mentioned at the beginning of the show we got a pretty good reading on consumer inflation for the month of March. Just came in lighter than expected across the board. So typically that would be good news for the market. But we know the focus right now is tariffs and the potential negative impact to the U.S. economy.
Right. And what we do know by studying market history is when you get a pickup in volatility, even when you do get a market turn, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily just right off to the races. There still can be a bumpy ride before that volatility ultimately subsides.
Exactly. We typically, like to see, follow through days between the fourth and seventh day of a rally attempt. Those have been the ones that have worked nicely throughout market history. There have been others that have worked fine that have occurred on the 10th or 11th or 12th day or later. But typically between day 4, day 7 is the sweet spot. So, like I said, today is the fourth day of a rally attempt. We're in position where we could get a follow through day. What the point that we've been making here is that not all follow through days work, especially coming off a period of intense weakness like this. When you look at the sort of landscape of stocks to buy, well, a lot of your gold stocks are quite extended at this point. Your utilities are still outperforming, so the merchandise isn't quite there yet. So that can take a little bit of time to set up. But if we do get a follow through day and there's no merchandise to buy, it's okay being patient because sometimes it takes a few days, a few weeks for new leaders to come out. So patience for now. We'll look for that sign of strength that we want to see, but still very very challenged market here.
And speaking of looking for leaders, you and the rest of the leaderboard team have our quarterly leaderboard scorecard webinar coming up at 4:30 p.m. Eastern today for members. So if you are a leaderboard member, go to leaderboard.investors.com. The banner at the top of the page should send you right to that webinar link. So Ken, I know it's going to be quite insightful, so that'll be a good show. Just wanted to flag that for folks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Myself and colleague David Hatman, Saito Chung, and Justin Nielsen will be joining us. He's got a great spreadsheet, of course, with quarterly data that we'll take a look at, and we'll talk about what we're thinking right now about the market. We'll take a look at the watch list. So this will just be our quarterly update. Yeah, coming right up.
Yeah, coming up. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at the other major indexes before we move on. High level thoughts here, Ken, and then we'll get to those stocks to watch with our couple of minutes left here. So
Yeah,
here's the
S&P
S&P.
500, same situation as the Nasdaq Composite. The fourth day of a rally attempt here. Nice rally off lows for the S&P 500 as well. So the rally is still intact. We're not day four on a rally attempt for the Dow Jones. We typically are going to look for our follow through days on the Nasdaq. Composite and the S&P 500. So Russell 2000 still hurting here. Inside day for the small cap index, but it has been, when you're concerned about a recession, your small caps can take the most heat, and that's what's been happening.
Yeah, let's quickly take a look at the 10-year Treasury yield as well. Give us an update here, Ken.
Well, the bond yield was down 11 basis points early in the session after we got that soft inflation data. So thought we might get some relief in falling bond yields. But look at what happened when you look at just the price performance of the 10-year yield today. Go back to the daily chart. You can see that 11 basis point decline really just uh, faded, and the bond yield didn't move. Can you click the daily chart on for
Sure.
zero TNX? And yeah, you can see it was down 11 basis points, and then it recouped all of those losses and closed basically, just slightly lower from yesterday. So still seeing some selling in that bond market. The safe haven trade is not looking so safe anymore.
Yeah. And then we do want to flag one sector today, and that is XLE, Ken.
Yeah, worst performing sector among the 11 sectors tracked by S&P. And yeah, this is you're seeing energy stocks selling off, viciously. And energy stocks are, and oil for that matter. When
Hmm.
there's concerns of a slowdown, you'll see a lot of the weakness here, and certainly
Right.
seeing it in USO, XLE for sure.
Yeah. Well, you did mention a bright spot, and that is the gold and gold mining stocks. So here's a look at Newmont mining, ticker NEM. A couple of strong days here in a row now, outperforming today for sure, up 4.5% on top of a solid move on Wednesday of 8.4%. So this area is rocking and rolling right now.
Yeah, you see a pivot on the chart, 48.23. I think you have an alternate entry. Yeah, right in that area there. So technically, a stock that's still in a buy zone here. What you want to keep in mind about Newmont is that even though fundamentals are pretty good, you can see really, really nice growth, top line growth and bottom line growth in recent quarters. Newmont is not the leader. You've had a lot of
Yeah.
gold producers that have been breaking out to new highs, showing a lot of relative strength. Agnico, the only stock on leaderboard at this time. AGI is another strong performer. So the fact that Newmont is just now breaking out, that's a bit of a yellow flag to me. It still could work here. It does have a pretty decent relative strength line, but just a reminder to people when you're looking at a specific industry group, it's best to find alternate entries with the leaders in the group rather than looking for a stock that's breaking out, very late in the game.
Yes. Okay, let's take a look at Ollie's bargain outlet showing relative strength as well here.
Yeah, we gave this a try on leaderboard not that long ago, as it was starting to move past that 115.42 entry, and then the way the market just got in the way of progress here. It started to bleed. It looked like a fairly orderly pullback. We eventually just cut our loss short in this name, but encouraged to see the stock find support at its 200-day moving average yesterday with some decent volume, and then it followed through today. Closed up near its session high on a real down day, another down day for the market. Volume was pretty heavy today too, so it's still fighting here, trying to reclaim that 115.42 entry. It's a volatile stock. It's easy to get shaken out, but
Mhm.
there's a pretty good fundamental story at Ollie's going on right now. They've been taking a lot of market share, like I've said in the past. Some of these dollar stores that are struggling financially, and the bankruptcy of Big Lots. Ollie's Bargain Outlet seems to be a beneficiary here. So for a retailer, still a name to watch. Again, prone to some volatile swings, but still setting up here.
Okay. And then let's wrap things up with a quick assessment of Taiwan Semiconductor, a big name in the chip manufacturing industry. You mentioned the sales figure coming out did not provide a lift to the stock. Shares down 4.8% on the day, and this downtrend since January continuing.
Yeah, their top line growth in March was better than 40% in local currency. But this company has just been reporting very big revenue on a monthly basis for some time. We're going to hear from earnings. We're going to hear from TSM next week. They're going to be one of the first tech stocks reporting earnings along with Netflix. So it'll be interesting to see what they're saying about AI demand. This is the world's largest chip foundry. Obviously, not in a position to buy here, but I thought it was interesting. It was another quarter of really strong sales, but the stock just really couldn't react. It's been on a downtrend. That correction from
Mhm.
226 down to 150. Usually, when you see heavy volume drops and the decline that we saw in TSM, there are concerns maybe that growth will be slowing. Going forward, so that's may be priced into the stock here. So I think there were good numbers earlier today for March revenue, but I'm interested to
Mhm.
hear what they're going to be saying about, AI demand. World's largest chip foundry that makes AI chips for a
Mhm.
lot of major players. So,
Yeah.
just wanted to mention TSM, give them a shout out for another great monthly sales figure. But these AI stocks are really in the doghouse for now.
They really are. And what was sort of the beginning of the end in the short term here, Ken, is that DeepSeek announcement. This stock was in a nice uptrend prior to that, but it really could never regain its footing after that news came out, which really shook the entire artificial intelligence theme. So out of favor right now. You can have some great headlines, great fundamentals, but if that's not showing up in the chart, then it's not a good stock to be in at that time.
Yeah, the first gap below the 50-day moving average that you pointed out there, that was really the first, pretty clear sign of institutional selling. When you give up a support level like that, volume 66.7 million shares was huge, but it actually marked the start of even more institutional selling in the stock, because you can see after it plunged to the 50-day, it rallied back. There was never much volume behind the rebound, and then heavy volume selling started to pick up the pace again. So, Taiwan Semi is struggling like just about every other AI stock, but I still look at it as an important earnings report
Yeah.
next week, and we'll listen to what they have to say.
No doubt. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ken. We know that you've got to run for that leaderboard scorecard webinar. Once again, that's starting at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. It's via Zoom. It's not on this YouTube channel because it's exclusive to our leaderboard members. So Ken and the team will see you there shortly. Click on that link on the top banner at leaderboard.investors.com if you are one of our leaderboard people. All right, so the team will see you there. And then on IBD Live in the morning, we have Dan Fitzpatrick of Stock Market Mentor joining us on the show. So investors.com/IBD Live for all the details on that. It's been a volatile week. What will tomorrow bring? Could be a key day. So be sure to tune in, investors.com/IBD Live. We'll see you there. And then Mike Webster and I will see you back here tomorrow after the close, everyone. See you then.